everybody, it's Kira and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag, as is every other booktuber, but you know, it's a fun tag and it's a good way to wrap up, the first half of your reading year. So we're just gonna get into it. I did this last year as well, so I'll link my video down below. And the original video has been taken down, so you can't find the original, but anyways, I wrote my questions down in my notebook, and we're just gonna go. So the first question is the best book you've read this year. And let's just start off with the hardest question ever. So the book I'm going to go with is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This book destroyed me. It is a World War II historical fiction, and it's about two French sisters, and one of them is working actively with the resistance and trying to help win the war, and the other one is a mother, so she stays at home while her husband is fighting and gets billeted with a Nazi soldier. And their stories were so heartbreaking, and this was such a beautifully written story. The only thing was it was a little confusing at the beginning with who was who, but it was insanely amazing and just so beautiful and heart-wrenching. And so for those reasons, it's been one of my absolute favorites and is one of the best books I read this year. So the second question is the best sequel you've read this year, and I have two answers for this one. One of them is An Echo in the Darkness by Francine Rivers. This is the sequel to, I'm blanking, this is the second in the Mark of the Lion series. A Voice in the Wind, I just looked over my bookshelf over there. A Voice in the Wind is the first book, and this is the sequel, An Echo in the Darkness, and it was the first book that I read this year because I finished the first book right at the end of last year, so I had to read this one right away, and it was amazing. The writing was spectacular. I was sobbing at the end with the love declaration that happened. Oh my word, so beautiful. And it was just so cool to see each of the characters really grow, and they go through a lot of hardship, but being able to grow from that was really, really cool to see. And so yeah, it was just amazing. So this one, and then my other answer is Crooked Kingdom, which I read for the first time, and oh my goodness, Leigh Bardugo's writing, unlike any other. It's so amazing. So this one was so cool in that the heist wasn't necessarily it wasn't the same kind of heist as it was in Six of Crows, and also we already know all of the characters in the second one, and so it was much more fun to see them develop and see them have their found family be more involved and invested in each other's lives, and it was just so much fun. And the death killed me, and we're just gonna pretend that didn't happen though. And it was just amazing, and I really loved having all of them there. It was just such an amazing book. So question 3 is a new release that you haven't gotten to yet. So I have 3 answers for this one. The first one is With the Fire on High, which is Elizabeth Acevedo's new book. She wrote, I'm going to blank on it now, The Poet X, which I read last summer and was so stunning. It was written in verse, and I don't normally read books in verse, but it was so beautiful, and I don't know anything about this new one other than I need to read it now. Sorry if the angle just changed. My camera is about to die, so now it's plugged in. So I was talking about the newest release. So the second one is Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jake Kristoff. I absolutely love the Illuminae files, and all I know about this one is it's a new sci-fi series, and I am all here for it. And then the third one that I haven't read yet is On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. I know, I was so late to reading The Hate U Give. I waited forever to read The Hate U Give, and I don't know why I waited so long. So I was really excited when I heard that On the Come Up was coming out, and I just haven't read it yet. I actually got it from the library at one point, but didn't read it in time and it ended up having to go back to the library. So that's my goal for the end of this, like definitely before the end of this year, is to read On the Come Up because I know it's going to be amazing. Question 4 is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And honestly, I have no idea what's coming out the second half of the year, so I just looked up some stuff. One that stuck out to me is A Treason of Thorns by Laura E. Weymouth, which is the author of the Light Between Worlds, which this I read last year and it was so amazing. And I know A Treason of Thorns is a fantasy book and that's all I need to know. I don't know anything else about it, but this one is so amazing. It's about three siblings who go to a magical world, but it really focuses on their journey of discovery when they're home and how they deal with being away from their magical world in which they grew for 5 years and then return to the same spot they disappeared from. So this is such a heart-wrenching but amazing book, and so I'm really excited to see what else she's going to write. Question 5 is your biggest disappointment, and for me, I don't really have a good answer. My answer is Mortal Engines by Philip Reeve, but I wasn't really expecting a whole lot. The movie looked really cool, and so I wanted to read the book so I could watch the movie. And, like, it was good, but it wasn't anything spectacular. It was, like, a 3-star read. It was just, like, meh. And then I kept listening to the audiobooks because they were easy to fall asleep to. They just weren't anything spectacular. But none of the books that I've read this year have been, like, super disappointing, which is really good. Question 6 is your biggest surprise. And again, it's not really that big of a surprise, but my answer is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. I finally read this book and I'm so happy that I did because it was amazing. And I was expecting to like it, but not as much as I think I did. I wasn't expecting to like absolutely fall in love with it. I was expecting to enjoy it, but I really did fall in love with it, and I definitely want to own it because I don't right now. But it was one of the best books. It was one of my favorites that I've read this year, and it was just so much fun and a really cool, like a really good like look at, I don't know, at fan culture and creative culture, but also mental health and anxiety. And although I don't suffer myself from anxiety, I could relate to still like portions of Eliza's story, and it was just such a well-written book and I really enjoyed it. Alright, number 7 is your favorite new author, and this can be debut or new to you, and I already know my answer. For this one, it is definitively Leigh Bardugo. I read all of her books in January, and then I think whenever her new one earlier this year, I read that one like almost as soon as they came out. She is so cool, such an amazing writer. Yeah, and I loved all of her books. It was just a fun time reading them. I don't really have anything else to say about that. Number 8 is your newest fictional crush, and I mean, I kind of have an answer for this one, but like, I don't know how to explain this. So my answer is Ollie from The City of Brass and The Kingdom of Copper. I love his character so much. In the second one, he does a lot of things that you're just like, no, please don't. But he's just so fun, and he's bookish, which is great. And I think he really wants to be a good king. And so I really like him, but I mean, I don't like fantasize about him at night or anything. Like, he's a crush in that he's an amazing guy character that I wish was real. Number 9 is your newest favorite character, and for me, that is Inej, because she is amazing. I really loved hearing her story of how, you know, she like was trapped in these, you know, pleasure houses, and then was like through working with Kaz and the other dregs, like was able to get out of that and like have a real place and a real family. And her being the Wraith was just so cool, and like her strength was amazing, and she's definitely just a really cool character. And at the end, when she goes off on her journey to like find all the slave hunters and like kill them and stuff, my heart was so happy. And her relationship with Kaz is just so interesting because of Kaz's upbringing and how he is with touching people, and his story was like heart-wrenching too, but seeing her like respect his boundaries but still like pushing him in a lot of ways, but always in like a really good manner. Oh, it was just so good. So she's definitely my new favorite character. Number 10 is a book that made you cry, and I mean, Nightingale. Sobbed my eyes out when I finished this book. The ending was just so sad, and just thinking about everything that they had to go through was, it really hurt my heart. And I'm very happy that I read it, but it was just very emotional. And then my other answer for this is Unbroken, just because it's a true story of what actually happened. And so I don't know that I think I did actually cry tears, but I listened to this on audiobook, and like it made the like beatings and torture and just awful things that Louis Zamperini went through just so much more real, being like hearing them being read aloud for some reason. And so, yeah, that one just totally broke my heart too. Number 11 is a book that made you happy. And I mean, I could go with Rereading An Ember in the Ashes and this whole trilogy. Well, trilogy for now. It's going to be quartet, but all 3 books, because this book always makes me happy because it's my favorite book of all time. But I'm also going to go with the Nixia trilogy. Reading the 3rd book, this Nixia Uprising, was a really satisfying conclusion to the other 2 books, and rereading the other 2 books was just so good too. They definitely are not like super happy books, but I really enjoy the found family that happens in here, and seeing the teenagers get to be kids every once in a while, and in the second one like exploring an alien world, so cool. So reading these always make me happy. Number 12 is the most beautiful book you've either bought or received, and I haven't actually bought that many books, but I won this one in the giveaway, and that is Bloodleaf by Crystal Smith. This is just such a cool cover. It's got all of this sparkliness in these vines. I guess they're thorns. And yeah, it's just really cool. I don't remember a ton about this book. I did read it, but it's about blood magic and the society that uses blood magic. But yeah, this is just so cool. Alright, and the last question is number 13. What books do you need to get to before the end of the year? I mean, so many. All of them, really. But one that I am more interested in and really want to get to, because I want to learn more about this person, is I Am Malala. This is Malala's biography, or autobiography, I guess. And, like, I honestly don't know a ton about her situation. I know that she went to school and was shot for going to school, but I would love to learn more about her story and actually hear her story. I think she's just a really amazing person, and so I'm really excited to read this. And I've had this for forever and just haven't read it, so I really want to read it. So that is it. That is the mid-year book freakout tag. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Comment down below, let me know some of your answers to these questions. I'd love to chat with you down in the comments below. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to follow me on social media, all my links are in the description as always. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!